Most of the information is what I have understood after using them, and some of them from my peers whom I regard very highly. It's their opinions that I'm going to put forth. Oh, it goes. So it doesn't change here, only there. So see, cataract surgery today has given us an excellent opportunity not only to restore the vision because of the cataract, but at the same single sweep, we can take care of the patient's ametropic status that existed before the cataract surgery. Myopia, hypermetropia, astigmatism, and today even correction of presbyopia. All that can be done during cataract surgery. Only 39% of patients are aware of this according to a market survey. So, when you took IOLs, of course, you had the rigid lenses and then you have the foldable. The initial stages of evolution happened on very predictable lines. The materials, silicon, hydrophilic, hydrophobic materials, the design, square edge design to prevent PCO, and when that got negative dysphotopsia, they came with frosted edge design. And then we had the aspheric lenses to improve contrast. Then we had the toric lens to address astigmatism. You had tinted lenses in cases with patients of ARMD, etc. But over the last decade or so, most of the evolution in IOL technology has centered around this, that is providing presbyopia correction lenses. Okay, so these lenses today basically, there are two categories of them. The first category of those lenses are those which are known as diffractive IOL technology. The second class of them are those which are known as extended depth of focus. They work slightly differently, and I'll try to explain to you quite simply how they work. Now let's look at this. So initially, they thought that in order to give good distance and near vision, two technologies were used, refractive and diffractive. Refractive produced so much of confusing halos and glare. Now that is totally phased out. It's obsolete. So the technology that exists today is diffractive. The diffractive technology does three things. One, it splits the light, it partitions the light, and it bends the light. Okay, all functions of them depend on these three things. It splits the light, it partitions the light. Partition means for distance and near, and trifocal with distance, intermediate, and near. And this is determined, the partitioning is determined by the height of the ridge. You have multiple ridges, this is called a kinetoform. The partitioning is determined by the height of the ridges. The third thing it does is bend. It bends light. So this bending is controlled by the width of the ridges. Okay, so it's as simple as this. So when this cross section of a diffractive plate, which is simply put on a monofocal lens, constitutes a bifocal IOL or multifocal IOL. And the way light behaves after passing through it will largely depend on the height and the width of the diffractive ridges. Now, it's very, very interesting to note that the height of the ridges were based on the fovea sensitive wavelength of light, which is 550 nanometers. Okay, so this is simple. The height controls the light energy distribution for far and near. If you set the height at half wavelength, you'll have 40% for distance, 40% for near, and 20% will be lost. Now, if you look at this sentence, like 40 for distance, 40 for near, 20 for loss, it tells us a lot about some important functional performance of the lens. See, all of us are looking at objects at different distances, and we have 100% light transmission for every distance. So we have a light energy curve of 100%. But the best that these lenses can offer is just 40%, which means that these lenses will be associated with a drop in contrast and a drop in brightness. You must understand this, especially when you're offering these lenses for prelex patients, or clear lenses, where they're all seeing at 100% light transmission. Now, if you increase the height, then more for near, and if you make it flat, then it'll all go for distance. Now, we'll forget the apodization. Look at the light energy distribution. The 40% is the light which is maximally transmitted. But when you decrease the height of the ridges from center to periphery, this is called apodization, and it becomes pupil dependent, the amount of light that goes for near when the pupil is dilated is very low. And therefore, apodization as a concept has not held on. So now we have what is called full optic diffractive designs of lenses. The apodization lenses are very pupil dependent, and they've been phased out. The width dictates the nearvergence. So if you have more rings tightly packed, that means the add is more. If you have less rings loosely packed, the add is less. So the width of the ridges will determine the near focal add or the vergence. Now, if a light falls on the kinetoform, I told you, one of the function of the diffractive ridges is it splits. Okay, it splits light into three orders: zero, first, and second order. The zero order rays go as it is; they don't bend. The first order rays are bent to the same versions of the ad that you put on the lens. And note this. This is which is the red light here? Ah, so this is the second order rays has a versions that is twice has a version that is twice the versions that you added. Now in a bifocal lens, the second order rays are lost. However, in trifocal technology, which is probably a very intelligent adaptation of the bifocal technology, the second order rays are also utilized. Okay, that is the importance. Two distinct points of focus for near and distance. Are we happy? No, because at each of these points, there is a blur circle caused by unfocused light, and these blur circles may be the important determinant cause for the photic phenomenon that is appreciated when these lenses are used. Trifocal, definitely, I would prefer over bifocal lenses, though both are called multifocal, because it is not only providing intermediate distance, it also intelligently uses additional 4% of light transmission. And this is a great example I'm going to give you. A trifocal is nothing but two bifocal kinetoforms that are fused and put on a base monofocal lens. Right, so what is more efficient light energy distribution? Let us say that you have two ads, 1.75 and 3.5 ad. 1.75 is intermediate, 3.5 for near. Now the first order rays of the 1.75 will converge at 60 centimeters. The second order rays will converge at 3.5, which will actually add on to the near vision. It will reinforce the near vision, and that is why the trifocal technology is probably an intelligent technology that has lesser wastage of light energy. There's extra 4% of light energy utilization, and probably you should choose it over bifocal. If you had an option between multifocal bifocal or multifocal trifocal or diffractive, it is better to go for a trifocal design, and also the incidence of halos are less. Now we'll just move on briefly to EDOF lenses. The extended depth of focus lenses, there is a timer. Just stop me when I'm done. So see, I told you the diffractive design does three things, right? Splits, partitions, and bends, right? The EDOF does two things only. It bends and stretches without splitting. With these two captions are enough to completely understand the lens. If you bend the light and you stretch it, but you don't split it, if you don't split it, you will not lose light energy. So the light energy distribution in EDOF lens is close to monofocal lens, 100% transmission, because the light is stretched but is not split. Light will not be lost unless it is split. So this is what it does. The AO has actually defined as what is EDOF is, they say that's a single contiguous elongated focal point that enhances depth of focus. There are three lenses that qualify for this. Okay, the first is called the small aperture lens. This is IC8 after a lens, which uses the pinhole effect in order to get depth of focus. The central 1.2 millimeters alone has a pinhole effect. Okay, then we have two more lenses. One is called the Symphony and the Synergy lens. This uses something called echelon design, basically, which stretches the light without bending, without splitting it. And the Vivity lens does the same thing in what is known as the X-wave technology, where there is a small geometrical alteration in the center. And you see the important words: surface transition 1 stretches, surface transition 2 shifts without splitting it. So this is the way it works. And if you understand the way the lenses work, you probably will be in a better position to offer them to your patients. Patients with the EDOF lenses will have much better quality, similar to monofocal lens. However, the near vision would be a compromise. Thank you all for your attention.